Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, the #1 YouTube channel for you to level up your communication skills, learn the art of public speaking, social skills, and personal branding to take your message to the world. So every single time that you're taking your message to the world, you're going to have to deal with this thing that we call language. And thus far, we've all had a certain perception of language. And if you think about it, the perception that you have towards it is the perception that you were taught. Growing up, you don't necessarily recall exactly when you learned language, but you had to deal with it a lot. And a lot of your perceptions were framed around English teachers who told you the benefits of grammar, writing teachers who taught you how to write, and different components about how to communicate. But this video today is going to help you change your paradigm regarding language. I want to ask you a rhetorical question right now, just to get your mind running. Is language a technology? Let me say that again. Is language a technology? A technology is basically seen as applied science, which can be used for practical purposes. So ask yourself, is language a technology? I don't want you to answer that yet, but I do want you to think about it because I'm going to tell you a few stories to help you thinking the right way. And eventually, I'm going to ask you again this question. Is language a technology? Now, if you're ready to have your paradigm shifted regarding the written and the spoken word, make sure you drop a like and let us begin. So, a while back, there was this individual, her name was Rachel. And Rachel, she wanted to get a dog. So one day she went to the animal adoption agency and she got a dog named Buddy. Buddy was a little puppy, and you could tell automatically it was love at first sight. Rachel loved Buddy. A few months goes by and her and Buddy are forming a relationship. They're not super close yet, but they're forming that relationship. A few years goes by and now Buddy has grown up and Rachel is closer to it than ever. Well, one of these days, Rachel's brother, Joe, decides to visit Rachel from overseas and wants to meet Buddy. So by the time Joe comes in, Buddy is all hyped and Buddy is barking at Joe. And Rachel is like, "Hey, Joe, you see the way that Buddy is barking at you? Buddy likes you." Joe is like, okay, he's just barking at me. I don't know how you can tell, but oh well. Time goes on by, and this time, Buddy starts barking again. And Rachel is like, "Oh no, Buddy is sad." Joe's thinking, huh? How can you tell? He's just barking. But he lets it slide again. A few more hours goes by, and this time, Buddy is barking again, and Rachel says, "Oh, whoa. Buddy is hungry." And this time Joe is just confused. All Joe is hearing is barking, but Rachel is hearing something else. She's not just hearing barking. Behind the barking, she is understanding meaning, which is allowing Rachel and Buddy to communicate with one another. The example that I just gave you, that is a very rough look into how life was before language. Just think about it. Just think about how life was before language. Can you even imagine it? I'm going to give you a theory. And mind you, I said theory because there's no set definition on how life was before language, how we communicated. A lot of it that we have right now is just theory. So my theory is that humans communicated with other humans very similar to how Rachel communicated with Buddy. They didn't have a standard language that they can use with one another to get messages across. So you know what happened? Rachel and Buddy spent a long time with one another. And as they spent a long time with one another, what happened was that they started to pick up each other's mannerisms. Rachel started to understand when Buddy would bark in a certain cadence that he was happy or that he was sad. It wasn't always like this. Rachel had to collect a whole lot of data to eventually understand the meaning behind this. And that's exactly how in my eyes, our ancient ancestors communicated as well. That's why tribes were so important. With tribes, what happened was that humans spent a lot of time around one another, understanding their mannerisms, understanding their grunts rather than barking like Buddy did. They did little touches to convey meaning to one another. And eventually, after a long time of spending a long time with your tribe, you started to understand the meaning behind their communication. That's why back in the days, if you were banished from your tribe, that was seen as a death sentence because now you're expecting another tribe to pick up your mannerisms and how you communicate. So overall, what this goes on to show you is that you don't necessarily need language to communicate. Humans will find out another way to convey messages to one another. But is that the most efficient? I mean, think about it. I could walk from Florida to New York. Sure, I could do that, but wouldn't it be more efficient to take a plane from Florida to New York? And just think about it. Think about all the time that I gained back from taking the plane versus walking that I can use to invest in something else. Well, that's where language comes in. Because yes, you don't need language to communicate, but with language, you go from walking to flying. So let me ask you again, is language a technology? You bet your ass that it is. 100%. Language is a form of technology. And when you start understanding it like that, you start understanding that language was the first ever internet that was ever created. It's what I call the primal internet. Because think about it like this. Let's use the internet example right now. For the longest time, computers couldn't talk to one another. It was just one computer and another computer, and they were on their own. So imagine if person A, for computer A, had all the knowledge in the world regarding molecular biology, and he has all these research papers, all this knowledge in his computer. That's person A. But person B wants to learn about molecular biology, and they're like, well, what do I do? Back in the days, you couldn't do much. But nowadays, with the rise of the internet, the computers are able to communicate, which allows person A and person B to help one another. Person A can say, yo, look, I know everything you need to know about molecular biology. I'll pay you, or excuse me, you have to pay me for my knowledge. And person B is like, fuck yeah, I don't want to spend all this time just failing my way through and all this stuff. Sure, I'll pay you if you can save me some time. So guess what? It's a win-win for both individuals. So take your mind back all the way to our ancient ancestors. Caveman A knows how to design this tool to the T, but Caveman B has no clue. So back in the days, without language, I mean, it's going to take a long time to convey the messages from one to the other. Language is a very powerful tool when you start thinking about it. And when you start thinking about it as a form of technology, sometimes you may wonder, well, why did we create language with words? Why didn't we use our hands? Well, we do have hands. We have sign language, which is used for people who can't hear. But ultimately, the reason that we used words was because it was more precise. Imagine if the lights just run out. From a country like Bangladesh, for example, when I used to live there, the lights would go out randomly. So imagine if the lights just go out. How are you going to communicate from one person to the next? Because you can't see the hands. That's where words become much, much more precise. And when you start viewing language as a technology, a part of you, when you think technology, you think someone in a lab creating an invention. That's what most people think. But I want you to understand it like this. There's no mad scientist in the lab just mixing different chemicals and it's like, aha, I have created language. That's not how it worked. Rather, humans contributed one by one to language. It's basically a contribution that created this tool. And it's something that is consistently evolving as we progress as a generation. So overall, when you start viewing language as a technology, it starts shifting your paradigm regarding communication skills. Because all too often, what happens is people blame the technology versus the people using the technology. And just to showcase that, picture you have Rohit and Raj. Rohit and Raj both are given smartphones. Now Rohit, this dude is just going to be watching porn on it, just scrolling through memes all day, talking shit behind an anonymous account on social media. But Raj is going to start a business on it. So you can blame the tool. You could say, oh, smartphone is the problem. Or you could be intelligent and say, the smartphone is just a tool. But how are these individuals using the tool? That's what communication skills comes down to. Because I feel as though a lot of people nowadays focus on the tool of language versus how to leverage the tool. For example, there's certain people that are so fixated on what words they're going to use in order to get their message across. Why? That's not the goal. Your goal is to get the message across, and the words are simply a tool to help you do that. Or some other people who get on stage and try to prove how smart they are. Why? That's not a smart use of the tool. That's like me giving you a hammer and you're trying to screw something in with a hammer. That's not smart use of the technology. That is not smart use of the tool. So from here on out, one mentality shift that you want to start adopting is that language is a form of technology. And your goal is not to get so fixated on the technology that you let that define you, but rather you have a strong sense of self. You don't want to be an idiot with a smartphone. You want to be the intelligent person with a smartphone. You want to be the intelligent person with words. And in order to be great with words, you have to be a person of value. If you have nothing to share, then your words will simply represent it. You'll be someone who rambles a lot, who talks a lot, who moves a lot, but isn't going anywhere. So this video is just a reminder to understand that language is a very intricate topic, an intricate tool that humans have been able to design. It is the primal internet, and it allows us to connect with other individuals. But at the end of the day, you have to be a person of substance to make sure that you are getting the most out of these words. Otherwise, you're just going to be spitting out empty words. So start adopting your mindset in a brand new way. Language is the finest technology that mankind has ever created, and it's time that you start leveraging it for the best. So with that being said, if today's video helps you, make sure you drop a like and you share this video so others can also learn to leverage the most magnificent technology ever designed. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.